Welcome to Jets Rewind. I'm Marty Schupak in New York. And I'm joined by Ralph Sharega, who's down in Austin, Texas. We're soon to be joined by Ray Clifford, who's out in Ohio. The Jets just lost the game. I don't even have the score up. I think I want to wipe it out. What was the score of the game?
27-6.
27-6 last night in one of the most horrid games you would ever watch in your life. And except for the last minute, we saw the two most horrid games you ever saw in your life, going back to the Giants. Ralph, how you doing on this election day? And by the way, my 70th birthday, November 7th.
Oh my gosh. Is this the anniversary of Michigan State, Notre Dame, or was that your bar mitzvah?
My bar mitzvah. But go ahead, Ralph. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. It's 80 degrees here and sunny, and so things can't be that bad.
Well, things are pretty bad. And, it's funny. After the Giant game, and I was, actually before that, when I was coming down so hard on Zach, and I started getting all these text messages and emails from a lot of our listeners, and they wanted me to watch the All 22, and I did that and everything. And I sort of backtracked a little bit. I guess it was after the Giant game, whatever. But after last night's performance, and I don't want to overshadow the offensive line and the penalties or whatever, Zach Wilson, he just is not an NFL quarterback. I'll say it again. It's just, as you always said, Ralph, Joe Montana said it's 85% above the shoulders. He just doesn't have it. You could practice whatever you want during the week under pressure, but until you're out in the game, you don't know what it's like, and he just can't do it. Some players can, and some can't. Ralph, I try to relate it to, like, if you take a soldier who goes to West Point and then officers training school and everything else, he goes through all this training, but until you're really on the battlefield,
Marty, you remember the Magnificent Seven?
Yeah.
Robert Vaughn's character, when the fighting starts, he's like hiding behind it. He's like this tough-looking gunfighter, but when the fighting starts, he's just shaking like a leaf and hiding.
That's right.
Zach's not. He's not a coward, but he just can't do it under pressure. Yeah.
He can't. And look, give him credit for a couple of these comebacks. And I know there's some Zach, I guess, fans or apologists out there. And I understand the offensive line was putrid. You were right about Billy Turner. You said it in preseason. He's just like a turnstile. And to put him out there against those two defensive players, it was just pathetic. I don't understand why they didn't just put Max Mitchell at tackle and try Xavier Gibson at guard. I mean,
Xavier Newman, yeah.
Newman, I'm sorry, Newman. Yeah.
Oh, look, Xavier Gibson probably would have done a better job.
Xavier Gibson finally did throw it to the guy, and he looked pretty good. And Malik Taylor, they threw to him too. That's what I want to do. There are three players I don't want to see on the field. And Ralph, I'll let you have your response. I don't want to see Billy Turner on the field. I don't want to see Lazard on the field. And I don't want to see Michael Clemens on the field. He had that fumble. All he had to do was pounce on it. He's been awful this year. So with that, Ralph, give me your immediate reaction.
All right. Well, first I'm going to give a shout out to Matt and Andy Lewis, two non-Jet fans who sat through that torture chamber with me. And now they know what it's like being a Jet fan. Anyway, it's, what can I say? It's a broken record, Groundhog Day, deja vu all over again. Wilson, terrible. The offensive line, horrific pass and run blocking, drop passes galore, untimely penalties. Is there some rule that when Breece Hall makes a nice play, they have to throw a flag? What is the deal with that? Why is every flag against the Jets when they have a good play? And of course, to top it off, a really good defensive effort again.
All the time. And Jet fans, I'm sorry to say, what happened last year when we dropped our last, was it 6, Ralph?
Yeah.
I think the last 6 games, we're on the verge of doing that again. And it's just because the defense cannot carry this team as good as they are. They get worn down. They can't help it. There's only so much you can do physically. It was just a horrid, horrid night. It was just pathetic. And Zach Wilson, I'd be shocked, Ralph, if he doesn't announce in a few hours that he's replacing Zach Wilson.
Well, I feel he's got to do it or he's going to lose the locker room.
Oh, yeah.
Now, let's not kid ourselves with that offensive line and the coordinators. Trevor Siemian is not going to be a savior. Now, last year, Mike White, he was an improvement. He's not a great talent, but things got a little better, and I would take that, level of improvement, make the game watchable, make it, somewhat entertaining. But, back to your point about Billy Turner. All right, they gave him a shot, but early in the game, it's like, okay, this is not working. To stick with him the whole game, I don't get that. I don't know whose call that is, if it's the coordinators or Salah's, but that's an absolutely unacceptable. You put Mitchell out there. Mitchell was not good, but he's not horrific like this guy is.
Right. You're right.
As far as Alan Lazard goes, I don't know what's gotten into this guy. It's like every week I'm going to drop 2 passes and make 2 dumb penalties at the wrong time.
3 dumb penalties.
It's like, at a certain point, I feel like it becomes contagious, or maybe the officials just like start getting into tossing flags. But what is it like every week? Is it the coaching? To a point, I guess it is, but the players, they got to play smarter. They got to be more disciplined.
Ralph, we always say it's a quarterback-driven league and all this stuff. It all starts with the quarterback, and it starts with showing leadership, being accountable, and doing what you have to do. And I'll just, again, I don't want to get into this like I got in on the preview show, but Sam Howell of Washington, he's got 44 sacks. He was a 5th-round pick, 44 sacks, leading the league. Zach has 39. Sam Howell has 15 TDs and 10 interceptions. Zach is stuck, I guess, at 5-5. Now, the Jet offense, I want to get into like Hackett because he's a big part of this. The Jet has scored 8 offensive touchdowns in 8 games, and one of those was a giveaway for the Giants. You're talking about 7 offensive touchdowns, and without Breece Hall, forget it. I don't know where we'd be. I've never seen an offense so inept as the New York Jet offense. It's beyond belief. And I think, Ralph, I think part of the problem is, I hate to say it, the idea of bringing Aaron Rodgers in was a great idea, one of the best talented quarterbacks ever. But in a way, he's kind of holding the Jets hostage.
Yeah, it's a very tricky situation. We don't know if he's going to play next year, and if he does, is he going to demand Salah and Joe Douglas stay? Because I'm slowly losing confidence in those 2 guys. Yes, that it is very awkward. I think he will play. I don't know what they're going to do with Wilson. Unfortunately, they made the mistake of having him as their backup quarterback this year. I didn't think it was such a bad idea, but I was wrong, because the minute he went down for Rodgers, it was like the idea of another whole season with Wilson was just so depressing. And of course, it's come true. But I agree with you. The Rodgers thing, it is awkward.
It's in typical Jet fashion. It just may backfire, and I have doubts if he'll ever play a down for the Jets again. And think about it. Look at the guys that he wanted the Jets to bring in: Alan Lazard, Cobb, Tim Boyle, Cook, Hackett.
Billy Turner was a
well, that was Hackett's guy. Well, it's part of the dominoes.
Yeah.
And it was just pathetic what's going on. Now, I just want to get to the offensive line, Ralph. I don't know if you saw, I sent you and Ray. Right.
Yeah, I just caught that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, again, it's just pathetic. And I understand that you need time to play together, and they keep losing guys, and they can't get a chemistry. But it's just pathetic what's going on in the offensive line. They're at such a disadvantage. Now, the one thing I want to point out, if you notice, and Ralph, I think he was listening to the show because they went up tempo.
Yeah, but they gave up on it really quickly, and because they didn't get anything out of it. That's one of my problems with Hackett, is he does try things, but he gives up on them too quickly, and he doesn't come back to them. Yeah, they do listen to the show. Of course, who wouldn't listen to the show? Talking about Zach Wilson, the play that sticks out of my mind more than any other play in the game was the one where he could have scrambled for about 25 yards, and he throws a little pass to Michael Carter, who's got a defender draped on him. And what that really shows about Zach Wilson, it's his tunnel vision. You know, everyone watching the play in real time, we could all see that he had like 25 yards of green grass there, or whatever that stuff is. And it's not like he saw that and decided to go the other way. He didn't see it because he locks in. And he was just looking at Michael Carter and threw the ball to him. Pop Warner, quarterback, could have seen that and run for that. And to me, that he has a lot of holes in his game, but you know, his vision problem, the vision thing, as George W. Bush, H. Bush would say, is a disaster. He doesn't have it. And that's always been your issue with him. He has no vision downfield. And that play just summed it all up.
He's got no instinct, Ralph. He has no instinct of common sense. And it reminds me years ago, before a lot of our audience was even born, I'll never forget when Fran Tarkenton was on the Giants. They had a play called, and it came out the next day in the paper that was like a off tackle to the right. But hi, Ray, how you doing?
Oh, wonderful.
Okay, but Fran Tarkenton, Ralph, he saw that the defense was shallow, one player. They had a gap between like the nose tackle and the right end of about 10 feet. So they just hiked the ball. He just went over the left guard because that was the common sense thing to do. And Zach Wilson can never do that. He's just locked in on plays. He's locked in on players. And he just does not have the football IQ or the instinct. Does he have the arm? Yes, he has the arm. Is he tough? Yes, he gets ripped and knocked to heck. And thank God we had a roughing the passer called. But he does not have the instinct. He doesn't have the common sense as a quarterback, the football IQ. I want to draft 2 quarterbacks next year. I want to get rid of Zach Wilson, as Ray and Ralph are shaking their head. I want to move on for this guy. This guy.
I want to move on from him, but yeah.
But
I don't want quarterbacks. You got to get the offensive line together.
Yeah.
You'll just be deja vu with
quarterbacks is
another
not, you know.
quarterback. Yeah.
Well, the Giants draft one of the best tackles in the country, and they're also using the buzzword on him. So
you got to try that.
That's what.
I'm not against that. Then they only have 5 picks. Draft 2 quarterbacks and 3 offensive linemen. I'm fine with that. That's what I want. And get a wide and sign Devontae Adams.
Oh yeah, he'll be lining up to come to the.
Yeah, he's dying to get here.
But anyway, Ray, welcome. This is today we're celebrating Marty's 70th birthday. So thanks for coming on in this obscure hour and give us your immediate reaction from the game. I know you had to press to get the game in because you work crazy hours. So I'll turn it over to you, Ray.
Glad I avoided all media and messages last night to get home this morning and spend. Luckily, I was on a DVR, so I could fast forward it. So I had to sit through as little of it as possible, but still 2 hours of that was brutal right from the start. One of the main reasons I always cringe when the Jets are on the national games like Monday night and Thursday night is that we get a lot of these kind of performances. And boy, I mean, outside of our defense, who, you know, that's the best performance by a defensive team I've ever seen that gave up 20 points, pretty much only 7 of it I could blame on them. It was a brutal performance.
Well, let me just chime in because, as bad as it was, you have to give them credit. Bryce Huff, 7 pressures, 1.5 sacks. Jermaine Johnson, 5 pressures, 1 sack. Franklin Myers, 5 pressures, 1 sack. C.J. Mosley, 11 tackles. Those guys came and earned their money. But Ray, I was talking to Ralph, and I had said that they're gonna splinter in the locker room unless he makes a change. It's got to be this week, because I don't know if you heard what Garrett Wilson said after the game. He
No,
was
I haven't.
quoted, he said, I can't even look the defense in the eye anymore. I can't do it. So
Right.
yeah, so right away, I mean, a gun to your head, do you think he makes a change, Ray, this week?
Well, I think he could. Whether or not he will, I don't know, because I mean the option of Simeon doesn't to me sound like a great option, but it might be it's something he has to give a try to and see what happens. I don't, he's such a loyal guy. It's hard to say, yeah, he definitely will. There are coaches I'd say, yeah, he'd have made it.
Oh, they would have pulled him weeks ago. Yeah.
But I want to ask Ralph, I think just for the fact, I mean, I think like Salah should say to Hackett, look, we got to put him in just to see if he's able to see things and get things done that Zach can't.
Look, in baseball, when a team is playing badly, you don't fire the team, you fire the manager. In football, unfortunately, you can't get rid of the offensive line. It's the quarterback. You got to try someone new. It might not work, but if you don't do it, he is going to lose the defense.
Right. Again, I think this is the week that they're going to splinter. And as bad as the offensive line, I just want to give a kudos to Joe Tippmann. I thought he was the one offensive lineman.
Yeah, he can play. He can play.
He's a player, and he's a good, solid foundation. If this guy Warren happens to come through, maybe we're not as bad a shape as we are, but we'll see. It's another year of horrible injuries too. Ray, I mentioned to Ralph in a way that this whole debacle with Aaron Rodgers, he's kind of holding the Jets hostage. I mean, and look at these names. I wrote them down: Lazard, Cobb, Boyle, Cook, Hackett, and Ralph added one more. Who else, Ralph?
Turner, yeah.
Billy Turner, yeah. And again, do you know what I'm saying, Ray? That this is.
I do, but I mean, as far as Lazard, this is way worse than I expected. That was he's dropping everything, and then now he turned into Mims and became a penalty machine last night at the worst moments.
We got to give a shout out to CJ Uzama for that nice drop in the.
That was great. Yeah, in garbage time.
That was the cherry on top.
Yeah, that just was. Yeah, that was the cherry on top.
But by the way, I want to say one thing. Zach Wilson is beginning to look up and do eye rolls when his guys drop passes. And he has no standing to do that. He can't do that.
No.
Yeah.
I think that was the night as a whole, though. But and then the cherry on top was that mixed with the next play, they throw it to the half-yard line instead of in the end zone on the final play. Beautiful.
At that point, it didn't matter. We were just trying. He was just trying to cover Salah's and Hackett's bets that they put on the Jets with getting 3.5. But also, Ralph, Long Island's Jeremy Ruckett, he didn't really have a good game either.
Two penalties.
Two big penalties.
And, I always thought, and kind of like in a way the NBA, it's not the number of penalties or fouls, it's when they happen. The most inopportune time.
They're amazing about that. Amazing.
I've never seen anything like it. It's just unbelievable. Ray, before you came on, I told Ralph 3 players I don't want to see on the field anymore. Billy Turner, Alan Lazard, and Michael Clemens. I mean, he's standing there trying to pick up that fumble. Bounce on the fumble. You fat lineman. Never works like that. I want him. I don't want him on the field. He's been horrible this year.
Joe Buck is like, and Aikman fortunately was able to get it back, and Aikman was like, I think the defensive lineman there, Clemens, tried to pick it up, and I said that while the play was going on. I'm like, what are you doing?
And that was when the Jets were still in the game.
Yeah,
just incredible. And besides that, did you notice we're going back to whenever there's a fumble, the Jets don't recover? Did you notice that?
And whenever the Jets fumble, the other team always
right.
Ray, how many fumbles does Zach Wilson have this year? I feel like he's got to lead the league. It's like he has like 2 a game.
And and yet you can blame the offensive line, but still he's just not. got that awareness that, hey, so even if they're coming from not his blind side, that's the thing that got me. The one from the first one from Bosa, I'm like, how do you not see him coming right at you? At least out of the corner of your eye, there's got to, that light blue and bright yellow has to kind of, you got to be able to see that a little bit.
And yeah, that last one, I don't even know what you call that play where he basically punched it out to the other guy. It's like so bizarre.
I'll tell you though, of all the things that we can complain about Zach, there was, and I don't know, you guys may have already spoke about it, but the one play that absolutely
Go ahead. We did. Go ahead.
When he scrambles out of the pocket and does the forward pass to the guy who's covered.
Well, yeah, we talked about that. And I said that what that shows is that he's got tunnel vision and he locks in. If he had seen that, he would have run, but he can't.
And he has so much room to run.
I mean, I said, Pop Warner quarterback would have.
Ralph, I think it's not just tunnel vision. I think it's a combination of that and just not being able to process and make a quick decision.
Yeah.
He just can't do it. It's just unbelievable. The other thing is, Garrett did not have a great game. He was good, but the one thing he's got to work on, and I know he studies his own film, when he makes catches, he's got to know where the first down marker is. Because sometimes
he gives up yardage sometimes.
He gives up yardage. He's trying to make a big play, which sometimes works, but in the long run, you're better off, I think, on the whole, getting that first down, But also, thank God for our Zerline, that, he makes everything poured out to him too. But I tell you guys, I don't know what else to say. Ralph, what else was on your mind about this?
Well, Marty, getting back to the future of this team, I feel that they need to use their top two picks, which will be a first and a third at this point. They need to build their offensive line first, Marty. If they draft another young quarterback, they're going to ruin him. And I also have no confidence in this regime developing a young quarterback. I kind of feel like, the offensive line look, if AVT comes back, we got him, we have Tippmann, and who am I missing? Well, I don't know what you think about Becton at this point. We'll have to talk about Becton. Laken Tomlinson's another guy we got to get rid of. We haven't mentioned his name at all.
He's not doing bad this year. I don't like him, but two things. He didn't have a great game. He's not doing bad, number one. Number two, he never gets injured so far. I mean, he's had a streak going like about 118 games.
I know. Okay, so give him credit for that. But, if you get a couple of offensive linemen, add them to AVT and Tippmann, you have the foundation maybe if you make some good picks. Then you get the quarterback when they've had a year experience together, and you do it the right way. Do it in the right order.
I wouldn't go with a top pick on a quarterback. If they want to take one next year,
right?
Later, that's fine. But how long have we been saying this? You build from the line out, and they have failed since the Idzik regime. They have failed to draft any meaningful linemen. Not that Douglas hasn't tried, but AVT's great, but he gets injured. Becton, he seems serviceable this year. I mean, I won't say he's up to where he was picked at this point in time, but he's at least serviceable this year. But you can't keep going with quarterbacks and receivers and what have you, and not touch the line.
Well, okay. If I'll relent and say you guys are right, and I know that's our biggest weakness. With that said, though, you had Sam Howell drafted in the 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
You had Purdy drafted in the 7th round. Mm-hmm. You had Tom Brady drafted in the 6th round. I would go with the old general manager of the Green Bay Packers, who always had a theory: every draft, you draft one quarterback. Either it's the 1st round, I don't care if it's the 7th round, you might hit. So I'll say, okay, let's go for linemen. But on our last pick, and I don't think we have a 7th round pick, I think maybe a 6th, let's draft who we think is the best quarterback. That's what I would do.
I'd even let it go in the fourth round pick. That would be fine. But I want the first two to be off the offensive linemen, and maybe Carter Warren works out. I liked him, but we'll have to see.
But Ralph, I think if you do get a guy in the fourth round, then I think that's kind of your excuse to get rid of Zach. You know what I mean? I don't want him back here, and I'll tell you, I think you're doing him a favor, and we spoke about that too. If there's any way, and you both said this, that he becomes an NFL quarterback, it's not going to be in New York, without a doubt.
Absolutely, and I last year you said it too. I don't want him back, and I was kind of I knew they'd bring him back.
Yeah.
But I'm with you right now. Yeah, he has to, for his own sake and the organization's sake, they have to move on from him.
But talking about the present now, they're 4-4. And
really, they're still in it.
Which is incredible, and
which is insane. Yeah,
it's insane. And they went into last night's game. All three teams in their division lost, and I said, "Oh, this is going to be great. It's going to be a birthday present for me." They're going to be right in the thick of it. And then, everything happened and it hit the fan and all that stuff. But again, it's a short week. I would change quarterbacks. They're going to be out there. And I know they're, who's the defensive end? Crosby?
Max Crosby, yeah. Max Crosby, yeah.
Max Crosby, he's licking his chops if he watched any of last night's game. He can't win.
Did they once get a tight end to chip Joey Bosa for Billy Turner?
Well, it was pointed out that Uzama, he completely fanned on one block.
Yeah.
And again, I want to say, I don't know you guys, Ray, I said it before he came on. I thought Troy Aikman was great. I love when he was pouncing on the Jets. I love when he was pouncing on the offense. And I'm sorry, nothing personal. I love when he was pouncing on you, Zach. I hate to say it. And I think it was a good thing. And
Ray, he was on Zach from play one. When he missed the first play, he said, "You can't have that as an NFL quarterback. You can't be missing those paths. Those are the ones you got to hit." And even the good plays. I mean, seemed like even his best throws weren't right on the money. I mean, they made it sound like he made some great throws, but I'm watching him going, yeah, but the guy still had to. It was either high or behind him or the guy stretching for it. I mean, he didn't have a lot of incredible throws. But after a while, we've been watching this for 2 years. So
I know it's deja vu. Yeah. Another irony was the one play, there were so many times when he should get rid of the ball. And the one time, remember, where he just threw it into the ground in front of Brees, and he still had some time.
He did. He did it.
He should do. I don't know if you remember, there was a Seinfeld episode where George Costanza decides, I'm going to go against my instincts in everything I do. And I think Zach needs to do that. Just the opposite of whatever his instincts tell him.
Yeah, right.
What happened to calling any designed runs? What happened to him taking off and running anyway on his own? He didn't. It was like no rollouts, no designed runs.
They're measuring, it seems to me, I hate to say this, are they measuring success on the number of interceptions he throws? I don't know.
Apparently, it's a very high priority, and
that's the one thing about our defense too. We couldn't hang on to an interception either.
Oh my God! Again, and I'll tell you what, I'm done with Jordan Whitehead. I mean, he's another disease like Alan Lazard. When he dropped he had the face mask, and then he always fans on one or two big tackles in the game. What's the amazing thing? And then the running back leaped over him.
Yeah, the amazing thing about the face mask, if you're going to get a face mask, at least take him down. He gets a face mask, and then he runs another 15 yards to the goal line.
Does Ashton Davis play the exact same position as him, Ralph?
I want to see more of Ashton Davis.
So do I.
Just to see what he can do, because like with the quarterback situation.
Every game though, now he's in there on plays.
Right? Yeah. Whitehead had his daily fan on or where he puts the shoulder in a guy and the guy just moves on, down the field. Yeah, it's a little frustrating. What's his name? Franklin Myers had a very good game last
Oh
night.
yeah.
He did well.
I hear these people saying they should trade him, get a high draft pick, and use it on offense. You got that defense. Oh, it's heartbreaking.
They're going to waste. It's terrible. And Ralph,
those guys just leave it all out there, and
Yep.
by the end of the game, you can see their shoulders beginning to sag, and it's like,
we've wasted 2 years of some of the finest defense.
I know, and it doesn't last. That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a window on everything, and this one might have another year to 2 years before it starts fracturing there, and so they've got to fix the quarterback and the line issues.
I want to.
They can't do it this year.
Yeah, one player that Ralph loves. He made a play. Nick Bowden. He caught a pass for 7 yards. But I just want to ask you guys, and we're gonna close this out, but he's not becoming a who was the defensive lineman signed the contract? He was a bust after that. What's his name?
Muhammad Wilkerson.
He's not becoming Muhammad Wilkerson, but I'm not crazy about what's going on with Queenan Williams. I know he's double and triple teamed, but he was double and triple teamed last year. He is still producing, he's still active, but he doesn't seem as effective as last year. I just want to know what your opinion is, Ray, than you, Ralph.
No, well, I mean, he doesn't have the numbers, but he's, like you say, he's still making plays. I mean, I'm not worried about that. You're not going to have great sack numbers every year, and besides, we've got 2 guys coming off the edge and that seem to be in there every game now. And so, I'm not that worried about Quinnen as long as he stays solid and makes plays, tackles, I'd like to see a little more pressure out of him than anything. I don't even care if he gets sacks. I'd like to see him in the quarterback's face a little more, but other than that, I think he's fine. And Quincy's out of his mind. He's doing so well. It's
right. He wasn't great yesterday, but he made a couple of good plays. Yeah.
Yeah, so, I think Quinn. I would like to see Quinn get a little more pressure up the middle, which of course is the best way to.
Yeah.
A lot of these, the Jet, their edge rushes are great, but the quarterbacks are taking advantage, and a lot of times they slide up and they they find more time. But if you get the pressure in the middle, then they can't do that, and it makes everything that much more effective. I feel Marty. He's not planning the year he had last year. He's not bad.
Right.
He's solid, but season's half over. We'll see.
Now we play. By the way, we're going to have a preview show later, probably Friday, but we play the Las Vegas Raiders, and their quarterback. It looks like it's going to be Aiden O'Connell, who it was a. Just so we know, because I know we like to see who we're playing, because we always make new quarterbacks look great. He was a 4th-round pick out of Purdue. Do you remember him, Ralph, at Purdue?
Just the name, vaguely. I don't remember Tyler Badgett either from Shepherd, but he's probably doing better than Zach Wilson.
Well, I'm going to make a prediction. If Zach Wilson plays, I don't care who wins the game, but O'Donnell's going to look more comfortable than Zach Wilson.
The funny thing is, in the NFL, they always say it's not who you play, it's when you play them. And unfortunately, they're catching the Raiders at the absolute worst time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So anything else, Ray? Any last minute talks about this game? Go ahead, Ray.
I'd say the defense was great, and so it's hard to knock them very much. They only had their two bad drives in the first half. They let up the one, and the second half they let up the one where they gave up, and it didn't. I think it ended in a field goal, not a touchdown at least, but they gave up 4 third downs on the.
That was brutal,
including the run by Herbert on the
that was a bad drive, but I mean, they're a good offensive team. You can't expect them to 3 and out them the whole game.
No,
it's just that It's well, what's painful is you watch other teams make third downs, and when the Jets have a third down, it's over. The series is
Right.
over.
Right.
And the other thing is when the Jets get like a 5-yard penalty on their offense, that just blows up their whole drive. Other teams, 5 yards can make it up so easily.
Yeah.
But for them, it's like a mile.
Around 5 yards, and all of a sudden you see the goalposts both of them moving. The field goes like from 100 past the Canadian-sized field. It's like 300 yards. You're absolutely right. All right, so we're going to close it out. Look, there's still hope, and I just want to mention today's election day. I urge all Jets Rewind voters, your vote does count. I don't care what party you're affiliated with. We still have the best country in the world, though we're going through some rough times. So please use your civil duty. Go out and vote for Ray Clifford, Ralph Schrager, and Marty Schupak.
Vote for us.
What's that?
Vote for us. You say,
Vote for us. Vote for, yeah. Until next time.